Hi all, welcome to BIAS Academy. We're discussing different basic ethical theories. So today we'll discuss deontology or deontological ethics or duty-based ethics. Okay, what is deontology? There are two words, deo or deontology. De means duties. Anything which emphasizes on the duties is deontological ethics. Like Sri Krishna said, Lord Sri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita that do your duty, that is nishkama karma. Or Mahatma Gandhi said means should be very important as ends. That means you have to focus on your duties. Immanuel Kant also spoke about deontological ethics. He emphasized on the importance of one's duty. So if speaking truth is your duty, then you have to be truthful. Okay, what are the basic principles or tenets of deontology? Basic principle of deontology is you, me, everybody, every individual should be respected. That means they should not be used as a means to an end. That means human beings should not be exploited. Example, slavery. People were exploited. They were not. They were. You might not have seen the slavery in this present generation, but in earlier generations, in USA, India, West, Africa, Australia, all these continents, slavery, people were exploited. They were used for the menial jobs. So what does deontology says? Every individual has to be respected and no human being can be treated as a means to an end. And second, it is focused on duties. It is duty-centric ethics. And deontology also considers ethics as a principle that one has to take a stand, or it is an obligation. So example, so what is duty? Tomorrow you become a municipal commissioner. So there are any illegal constructions on the road or any buildings which are occupying the road, public property, then you have to demolish those constructions. That is doing your duty, that is deontology. Soldiers have to kill enemy soldiers, right? So soldiers have to do their duty. If soldiers don't do their duty, then we cannot be living in peace. So these are the examples of deontology. Next, what are the other principles? Deontology focuses on the act itself rather than consequences. Next is it focuses on the intention rather than consequence. It is exactly opposite to consequential ethics. Consequential ethics or teleological ethics focuses on the consequences, end result, whereas deontology focuses on the means, focuses on intention. So classic quotation which is, in a law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. So this is given by Immanuel Kant. So let's repeat the quote. In law, I mean that means as per any law, Indian law or US law or any law, a man is guilty when you violate the rights of others. But in ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. That is, say you have a piece of land. Next to your piece of land, there is your neighbor's land which is vacant. So you wanted to build take 1 feet or 2 feet of the land of your neighbor's land so that you can stretch your wall. You wanted to do that, but you did not actually do that. So in law, as per law, you don't do anything wrong. But ethically, thinking of doing wrong is also an unethical action, as per Immanuel Kant. This example, try to memorize this quotation, use it in your essay, mains, or GS or ethics answers. In law, a man is guilty when he violates the rights of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. Given by Immanuel Kant. Right. So what is the origin of this deontology word? It came from Greek word deo. Ology is study, right? Deo means duty, obligation, or that which is necessary. Okay. Deontology approach to ethics holds moral agents have to rigorously fulfill their moral duties. So that thing, but it focuses on duties, or you should be unmindful of the consequences. You have to do your classical example is demolishing a house which is on the road. If you see the demolition, you might think that is a wrong action, but if you think from a duty perspective as a municipal commissioner, that is the right thing which you are doing because they are occupying the public property. So what does deontology say? It says that you have to honor human rights. Human beings have to be respected. They cannot be used as a means. And it also argues that any action, any moral worth of any action does not depend on the consequences. It is based on the duties. So let us look at an example. In 19th century in USA, that is America, many members of anti-slavery movement argued that slavery was wrong. And then, but during that time, there was Southern American society which was economically being benefited from the slavery. If you see this slavery from two dimensions, we will see from teleology or consequential perspective, other is from a deontological perspective. From a teleological perspective, slavery might appear to be ideal because there is economic growth. Greatest good for the greatest number of people. More number of people are being benefited. Let us say the family, there are family of 5, there is slave of 1. So here, from a teleological perspective, everybody is satisfied and happy. Now let us look at the same slavery from a deontological perspective. The society might be, there might be economic good, economic development, greatest good for the greatest number of people might be there, but from a deontological perspective, human beings are exploited. They cannot be used as a means. So this is wrong. Hence, slavery is wrong, not because of negative consequences, but because it violates an absolute moral principle that humans cannot be used as a means to an end. So now you understood, right? There is no right or wrong in ethics. You have to use both theories to arrive at a solution. Okay, Immanuel Kant gave a concept called categorical imperative. That is the most important thing. He did not agree with what utilitarianism said. He said that morality has nothing to do with happiness. And he also holds that moral life does not have any place for feeling or emotion or sentience. He says that moral life is a rational life. If you are rational, you will be moral. Then how did he question these things? He questioned what is that distinguishes a moral action from a non-moral action. He says that moral action is the one which has a sense of duty, rather than doing what we want. We have to do what is the right thing, not doing what we want. He says that every emotion is immoral. Okay. So there is one categorical imperative which he formulated various ways. So let's look at that. Act only according to the maxim by which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. So what is he saying under categorical imperative? Act or behave according to the rule that you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. That means whatever he is doing should be applicable universally. So if you want to be respected, you have to respect others. If you scold somebody, and you can in turn do not expect others to scold you. So whatever actions should become universal actions or universally applicable. That's what he says. In other words, he implies that what is right for one person becomes right for all. What is wrong for one is wrong for all. So if something is correct for you, that should become right for everybody. If something is wrong for you, that should be wrong for all. Right. So example, 3 patients and 1 drunkard. So there is one drunkard who was unconscious, who drank too much, and then he was brought to a hospital. Can the doctor say this guy is unconscious and useless fellow, and then extract his heart, harvest his kidneys, liver, and transplant to required other patients? Is it morally right? It is more immoral act. Okay, now let us look at principles applied in deontological ethics. First principle is universal. If any action has to be a universal act. Second is self. Are you ready to accept the same principle on yourself? Means any person should not be used as a means to an end, and there should be a long-term social impact. So these are the principles involved. Right. Now let us look at differences between utilitarian ethics, deontological ethics, and virtue ethics, which we'll discuss in the next class. But let us study from a differences perspective. What is the definition of utilitarian ethics? Utility means usefulness, greatest good for the greatest number of people. Deontology, deontological ethics emphasize that every human being should be treated with dignity and respect. Human should not be used as a means to an end. And virtue ethics talks about virtues. Make a good one. If you have good virtuous principles, you become ethical. Okay, where can you apply this utilitarian ethics? When making decision which will benefit a majority, like building a dam or a nuclear power plant, or making a law, or demolishing a particular encroachment. So where can you apply this deontological ethics? In identifying your duties, one's duties, and acting accordingly. As a police commissioner tomorrow, what is your duty? As an IAS officer, what is your duty? As a municipal commissioner, what is your duty? As an MLA, what is your duty? As an MP, what is your duty? And then act accordingly. So this can be applied in that sphere. Where can you apply virtue ethics? In decision making, right? So what are the drawbacks of utilitarian ethics? So minority is being ignored here. Only you are thinking about majority. Then what is the drawback of deontological ethics? Sometimes your duty might lead to a bad consequence. Like the classic example of Jews. Then what is the drawback of virtue ethics? Because it only focuses on certain virtues, not all the virtues. Right. So now let us look at a mains based question. Discuss the differences between teleological and deontological systems of ethics. So this is a good question. This is a nice, interesting question. Discuss the differences between teleology or teleological and deontological systems of ethics, or discuss the differences between utilitarianism and deontological ethics, or discuss the difference between consequentialism and deontological ethics, or discuss the difference between consequence based ethics and duty based ethics. So format, introduction, body, conclusion. So write an answer and mail us to beiasacademy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and have a great day. Let us meet in coming classes.